In a city that's buzzing with life, it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day. But once in a while, it's important to slow down and have a cup of coffee. Over the past couple weeks, I've been sipping my way across the 5 boroughs of New York to try 10 different coffee shops, and today, I want to share my experience of visiting each of these shops. So, let's get started. We're starting in Brooklyn at La Cabra. Though La Cabra is Spanish for LeBron, they're actually a Nordic coffee shop originating from Denmark. They have a couple stores across the city, but this is the roastery location, which you can sneak a peek of hiding in the back. The design of the space is immaculate. Warm and inviting with soft wooden touches and paper lights, the store is divided into 2 sections. Out front is a laptop-free zone, designated for reading or catching up with friends, while off to the side are some stalls for those trying to get some focused work done. Whenever I visit a coffee shop that roasts their own beans, I like getting a pour-over to enjoy the nuances of the coffee itself. I decided on the Bumbogo, mostly because of how fun it is to say. Its flavor was listed as fruity and rich, 2 adjectives that describe what I aspire to be one day. To pair with it, I got a pastry, and this Gordian knot is their famous cardamom bun. Soft and subtly sweet, the best part is the black speckled bits of cardamom seeds that release firecrackers of spice when you bite into it. With a fragrant pour-over and these cardamom spices, it made for an aromatic morning and was just the cure for a gloomy day. La Cabra is one of those rare places that does both coffee and pastries extremely well, and they truly live up to their name. But as the coffee started to dwindle, it was time to step back into the real world. We're staying in Brooklyn but moving east to Williamsburg for our second stop, Maru Coffee. Like myself, Maru is a West Coast transplant. Originating from LA, they've brought their signature series of cream-based beverages. I got the cream top drink, an iced long black layered with sweet and fluffy cream and a dusting of cocoa powder. The texture of the cream, it was spot on. Thick enough to float effortlessly on top, yet thin enough to easily sip the coffee below. And with the morning light peeking through the windows, the descending tendrils of cream were mesmerizing. Though I came right when they opened, it was packed, with runners, kids in strollers, and dogs on leashes, which made for a very lively atmosphere and a bit of a sensory overload. If you're thinking of visiting, make sure to plan ahead and prepare to maybe wait a while. Our last stop in Brooklyn is Driftaway Coffee, where inside they're doing something special and offering tasting courses at the brew bar. There's a couple sets to choose from, all of which allow you to explore a variety of beans and brew methods, and I went with the coffee 3 ways. We got the party started with a pour-over of their award-winning blend, Peach Cobbler. Fruity, floral, and a gentle calming way to ease into the tasting. Next was the espresso course, served as a 1-in-1. The espresso shot, it was a bullseye, like Robin Hood pulled it himself, but I love the miso toffee oat milk labubu macchiato even more. Whereas the espresso can be a little rough around the edges, the sweetness of the miso toffee smoothed it out, and was complemented by the savory soy sauce glazed cracker. To round out the journey, a coffee mocktail called the Scoby Kokum Sour. It's a clarified coconut milk sour made with Scoby coffee, kokum syrup, and lime. Deliciously tropical, dangerously refreshing. If it wasn't 9 in the morning, I would have snuck in a shot of bourbon from my hip flask. At the end, we got an envelope with the pour-over recipe they used, which was a nice touch, and you could purchase any of the beans you tried as well. Just a heads up, the coffee tasting does require a reservation, but if you're in the mood for regular coffee, no worries. There's space inside for walk-ins as well. We're moving on to Queens at Sunnyside, where right next to the train station is Melting Cups. Coffee shop in the morning, cocktail lounge at night. There's a real emphasis here on design, with boutique couches and furniture that decorate the space at the back of the store. Occasionally, it doubles as an art gallery, but I caught them between exhibits so the walls were as bare as the Berenstains. As summer creeps around the corner and the weather gets warmer, I'm always on the lookout for a cold, refreshing bevy, so this tall glass of ginger beer espresso hit just the spot. Beautifully layered and gorgeously colored, the ginger beer was spicy, like a swift kick in the pants. With such a strong and forward ginger taste, the espresso got a little lost in the sauce, but still, I enjoyed it. One growing trend in coffee shops that I like is having separate work and social spaces. The lounge is laptop free, but if you want to get some work done, there are plenty of tables out front as well. As mentioned, Melting Cups also offers cocktails in the evening, many of which incorporate coffee. I thought about trying one, but it felt a little too late to get started on a Sunday morning. Maybe next time though. In the Bronx along Arthur Avenue is the coffee shop formerly known as Prince Coffee House. They're open from 7 in the morning till 11 at night, making it a great go-to spot at any time of the day. Inside, there's a ton of seating for those who want to take advantage of the AC, with hundreds of tin cups lurking on the ceiling taunting whoever is brave enough to sit right underneath. But what makes Prince Coffee House special is their huge outdoor space. With tables strewn about the sidewalk, it's the perfect place to people watch while listening to the music of the neighborhood. The chatter of conversations, wind brushing through the leaves, and drivers on the brink of road rage on the streets. After a day of exploring the neighborhood and being out in the sun, I got an espresso freddo to cool myself down. Sitting there with my coffee, it felt nice to take a breath and be present while reflecting on the day and watching the shadows grow longer. Word of warning, people do smoke outside, so make sure to find a spot upwind if you mind. We're moving on to Manhattan in the West Village, where a tiny coffee shop is brewing up something quite magical. This is Arcane Estate Coffee. Arcane specializes in highlighting single-origin Panamanian beans, and I went with the Don Benji, which was processed using a carbonic maceration method. Now, I had no idea what that meant, but the baristas were extremely friendly and willing to chat and answer any questions. In carbonic maceration, coffee cherries are washed in water that's pumped with carbon dioxide to displace the oxygen, creating an anaerobic environment. This affects how it ferments, resulting in a flavor profile that's more subtle and refined. I felt like the flavor was a bit muted at first, but as the temperature cooled, it transformed and blossomed into an extremely vibrant cup. This truly is the power of science and engineering. After nerding out on coffee, the barista was kind enough to send me off with a sample of their batch brew, a Kijitora named Grand Deval. So with this adorable cup in my hand, it was off to our next stop. And now for something completely different. It's easy to get caught feeling snobbish about coffee and ramble on about brew ratios, grind sizes, and joystick descriptions of tasting notes. But sometimes it's nice to have a little mirth and whimsy in your coffee. For that, we're at Buddy Buddy, a nut butter coffee bar. At Buddy Buddy, a nut butter coffee bar, they boast blends of nut butter-based beverages brewed by baristas dubbed Buddies. This concoction is the Fruity Buddy, a PB&J latte with peanut butter, raspberry puree, espresso, and peanut butter milk? I don't know how peanuts are milked, but I'm going to assume it's the same as with a cow. Just squeeze it till something white comes out. This was a fun drink to have, and brought me back to high school lunchtime where I was fueled by many a PB&J. The peanut butter in the latte was chunky, which tasted blasphemous as someone who's a devout preacher of smooth peanut butter, but it did give the latte some texture for contrast. If you ever get a hankering for creative drinks or need to disappear a friend who's allergic to peanuts, it's worth a visit if you're nearby. Though I must admit, I think I'm going to stick with my single origin frou-frou pour-overs for now. On the edge of Chinatown is a shop that just opened in 2026, selling coffee that can't be found anywhere else on the East Coast. This is BAZU by Superwow Coffee, not to be confused with BAZU by Super Confused Coffee or BAZU by Super Meh Coffee. Here at BAZU, they specialize in pour-overs from Japanese roasters such as Apollon's Gold and Glitch, two titans in the world of coffee. Chatting with the barista, they mentioned how they're one of the only stores in the US brewing beans from Glitch, one of my favorite coffee roasters from Japan. It's a basic opinion, I know. So after seeing them offered here in the States, I knew I wanted to try some. After honking these little clown horns to get a whiff of a couple beans, I decided on the El Paraíso Red Plum. Before even taking a sip, the aroma was unbelievably fruity and sweet, and if I was blindfolded, I would have thought this was juice or tea. Tasting it, each note written on the card was impeccably articulated, and the aftertaste was the unmistakable flavor of a hibiscus tea. If this was the first coffee you've ever tasted, you'd never associate coffee with the word bitter. Instead, you'd think it was always light and fruity. The only downside of such a cup is that Glitch coffee is pretty expensive, and adding on the import fees, it made for a pricey cup. But it's cheaper than flying to Japan, so with a bit of boy math, I'm telling myself I'm saving money. Not exactly a coffee to have daily, but if you're curious about Japanese roasters and don't have the opportunity to go to Japan, it's worth a try at least once. Though, do be cautious. It just might be a gateway coffee. There's one more borough to cover, and that's Staten Island. After taking the subway to get to the ferry, sailing across the upper bay, hopping on the Staten Island Railway, switching to horseback, and stopping to change currency and update my time zone, we finally made it to Americano Cafe. It's right in the lobby of an apartment complex with huge open communal working spaces. If I were more diligent and hardworking, I'd have remembered to bring my laptop, but alas, 'tis the nature of being a lazy bum. The iced mocha was a sweet way to start my morning. In addition to coffee, they have a pretty extensive breakfast and brunch menu with all the classics. I got a Western omelet, and all I'm going to say is that afterwards, all was not quite on the southern front. The side salad was a welcome sight though, as someone who has been forsaking his greens for a while now. This probably isn't a destination coffee shop I'd travel out of my way for, but if I lived here, I could see myself coming often and actually bringing some work to do. Though next time, I'll probably just stick with a coffee. Now, for all the mathletes counting out there, that was number 9, and we've got one final spot. Our last stop is Park at Kim's, a small coffee shop serving both locals and tourists alike. Like the space inside, their menu is pared down to the essentials: black coffee, coffee with milk, and a couple extras. There's also an impressive curation of pour-overs from around the world that was tempting, but I realized I somehow went through the entire trip without a flat white, so I had to fix that post-haste. The coffee, it's served in these cute whimsical cups that have their own unique personality, making it fun to drink from. There's also a selection of pastries, and the trick here is to pair your coffee with a donut. I got a coffee glazed one, and it was Homer Simpson approved. I actually came back for a second visit and had an affogato that hit just the spot. Rich gelato, crunchy pecans, a hint of amaretto for a boozy kick, and a shot of espresso to ground you back in reality. I'd be hard-pressed to think of a better treat on a hot summer day. I think whether you're catching up with friends, getting a little reading done, or picking up a drink to go, this is just the spot to escape from the hullabaloo of a busy day. Thank you for coming along this cafe hopping journey, and I hope you found a couple spots to visit on your next trip to New York. There's really such a culturally diverse coffee scene here if you look for it, whether it's Nordic, Korean, Panamanian, Japanese, or more. I don't think I'll be sleeping anytime soon, but I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.